Greetings from my teaching studio in Havertown, Pennsylvania. I'm Heather Miller Lardin and I play historical double basses. I'm going to take you on a little tour of my collection. One of the things I love about the Stanton Music Festival is that I get to play all of my instruments there because the repertoire is so wide-ranging, and each one of them has a different function and a different sound. Double bass instruments have never really been standardized. Even in today's modern orchestra, you're going to see them with different shapes, different sizes, different numbers of strings, different bow holds, all kinds of things. This particular instrument that I'm holding is a copy of an Italian double bass from 1620, and I have it set up for Baroque playing, so it has gut strings on it and it's got frets. And what the frets do is they allow me to close the strings more easily. I stop these very thick gut strings at the edge of the fret, and it gives me a really clear and resonant sound on every note. Often you'll hear early bass instruments referred to as violone, and that just means that it's a large bowed bass instrument. I did want to mention about this instrument that many of you saw me last summer at the Stanton Music Festival playing a white instrument, or one that looked very blonde, and you might not have realized this, but that was an instrument that I hadn't purchased yet. It wasn't quite finished, and I was trying it to buy it, and guess what? This is it. This is a Viennese violone. This instrument is built on a model that was made in Vienna in 1748. As you can see, it has 5 strings, and it also has frets, which serve a similar function to the other instrument that I just showed you. It has a really distinctive shape. It's got gamba corners and a very wide ribs and a flat back with a little divot there. And there's a distinctive flourish in the scroll. There's a relatively flat bridge, and that makes it easier to play chords and double stops, which was really important because this instrument had a lot of concerti written for it, and it was used in all kinds of chamber music, divertimenti, and in chamber orchestras as well. So we know that Haydn's bass player at Esterházy used an instrument very much like this because there are receipts for the strings that he bought. And in fact, Haydn wrote, in 6 of his early symphonies, he wrote extended solos for violone. This instrument has a very bright and powerful sound that's really different from today's dark chocolate ideal double bass sound. It had a golden age in and around Vienna from about 1750 to 1820, but it was definitely around well before that and quite a bit after it as well. And it works just beautifully in Schubert's Trout Quintet. The Viennese violone is directly related to the viola da gamba, or viol. The viol first appeared in Europe in the late 15th century. It was built in sizes that roughly corresponded to the human voice. All of the sizes of viol are played seated and are held with the legs, and in fact, the term viola da gamba means viol of the leg. Viols are played with an underhand bow, and for the most part they're tuned in fourths with a third in the middle. This is a later model, and it has a 7th string. This was popular in France in the early 18th century. In the Renaissance, most viols were played in consort as a family, and in the Baroque era it became very popular as a continuo instrument and as a solo instrument. Bach used the bass viol in a very stylized way in his sacred music, making the most of its otherworldly sound in both the St. John and the St. Matthew Passions. In the lesser-known funeral cantata, the 2 viols also invoke death and the afterworld. instrument is called a G violone, and what that refers to, the G, is the outer strings, because there were different ways to tune it. Just as a frame of reference, this fifth string, the second from the bottom, is the same pitch as the low C string of a cello. So you have quite a wide range on this instrument. This is a copy of a German violone built around 1630. Its festoon shape and flame holes do not affect the sound, but they kind of let you know that the person that originally commissioned it had a lot of money and could afford nice things. Now, the violone was a wonderful instrument and popular for quite some time, but it was eventually replaced by the more versatile cello that we know today.